Welcome everyone to Balancing Act, Living Life in Harmony. And I'm here with my co-host Sam McEwen. I'm Linda Wilson, and we are here with our guest coach Diana Flowe. Diana, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. We kind of call a balancing act as a tongue-in-cheek because balance, work-life balance is pretty much a myth. It's all about work-life and money harmony,
Mm.
and Sam and I, we both know you pretty well, and we know you've got a lot of irons in the fire. And we just kind of wanted you to share how you keep all of that in harmony. You're a coach, you're a nurse, you you're working with the prisons on a program. You are your business is exploding. How do you find the harmonious flow for all of that?
First I'll say that I don't know that it's ever really a balance or some days it's not harmony.
Yeah.
so, well, like me, but it's like some days I'm up and I'm down and it's just getting by, to be honest with you. And some days are super awesome. Like, I'll be honest, about a week ago was a challenge. Finding any kind of balance wasn't happening very well. Um, but the last few days have been good. And I think, honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with acceptance of where I'm at. It's a big thing, acceptance, because when I'm not accepting where I am with the road I'm on the journey. So as you know, I'm trying to transition out of nursing, right? And so getting out means I got to do both of them right now. And I don't always like that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like it. Some days I've said I hate it. And yeah, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I'm not gonna say I hate this anymore. So I'm really trying to focus on the gratitude that I have the opportunity to be able to do nursing while I do
Mhm.
this. And when I find that, it's so much smoother.
Yeah, it is. It is. Diana, talk to us a little bit about your this work you're doing with the prisons.
So currently, so it started out, to be honest with you. Well, so I'm in recovery, and so from drug addiction. And so I have wanted to give back. I've always given back. But when I decided to go, I just had this idea one day to go into the prison, and because I'm sure there's a lot of them in there that need it. So I started going originally. I reached out. I just started emailing and said, I would like to come volunteer my time. And so I started going, I guess it's been about a year and a half ago now. So I go into the prisons, and the one that I go to currently it's I won't say it right, probably it's Lawty Correction Facility. And so it is a faith based character building prison. I'd never
Oh
heard of
wow.
it. There's only, I think, two of them in Florida now. This was the first one ever. And so when they go into this prison, they have to be willing to be building their faith in their characters. So I go in there and it's all guys, and honestly they love it. So I go in there. Originally I went in there and I shared, my story, and we connect rather well, even though I've never done prison. Because of my past, I connect with them. So I go in there and I do things like vision, purpose, vision, goals. um,
Okay.
so that was we're doing honesty. We do a variety of things. Originally, when I started out, I had this plan. I would go in when we did purpose, vision, goals. We had this long, 3-month plan, and that wasn't happening because it was changing so much. So now we're doing a lesson at a time, and I love it probably as much as they do, to be honest with you. But they love having me. They get a lot out of it, and it's awesome for me to be able to hear when they do come back to me and tell me the changes that they've had. And they do sometimes. They'll stop and they'll say after, and they'll say, this is really neat, and they'll share their ideas. And there's a lot of them, believe it or not. Sometimes people think that, people in prison and they just are bad people or whatever. But a lot of these people are people that made some bad choices and they don't want to stay on that road. And
Right.
so it's really cool to be able to go in there and be a part of the change that they have in their life. The mindset that they have, and the fact that they want to get out and help people. It's so rewarding for me, probably
Mhm.
as much as it is for them or more. So I love it.
Okay.
I was
What a great idea.
actually was working recently. We put together a program for them, but it's on hold right now. So we'll see where that goes. But if it's meant to be, it'll flourish. If not, it's okay.
Yeah. And that's the harmony part of life, you know.
Yeah.
It has to be okay if it doesn't work, and if it's God's timing, God's will, that's what will happen. So, what else do you do? Trying to you're a nurse. You're doing this. I know you're running your own business, um, and so what all are you got? What do you have up in the air that you're trying to live harmoniously with?
Well, so I obviously am working nursing. So the nursing takes up a huge part right now because I go back and forth between nights and evenings. So I do that. And then I'm actually the program that I was or that is put together for the prison when they're ready is also a program that I'm working on to be able to go out into different businesses so that I can help them because it's the same thing. It's mindset. So
Mhm.
the topics are the same: leadership, mindset, honesty, journaling. So I'll go into eventually it'll be a continuity program. Once we get it
Okay.
all, I'm going to do some of the recording the end of this month. So I'm doing that, and then I have a son at the time that lives with me. He won't be living with me much longer, so I do that, and I still do a lot of volunteer stuff because I'm a nurse. I share with a lot of people, a lot of nurses and people in the healthcare field, my past in recovery, and so I do a lot of helping them. I have one right now that just lost her sister last week to an overdose. And she and I had just talked 2 weeks ago. And so I'm meeting with her, and we're going to kind of come up with a plan for her and how she can how she can help other people now that, she's been affected in the ultimate. The dad, her sister passed away. Now she has the niece to take care of. So I do a lot of volunteer stuff like that. Primarily that is a lot and a lot of my time. I'm not even going to lie to you. My schedule stays full just with that, but
Hmm.
I work a lot of hours too. So yeah, that's pretty much my life. If it's not doing my own thing or nursing, it's volunteering.
Okay. So
Wow.
how do you? I don't want to say control because we don't control things, but how do you keep the harmony between the physical, the spiritual, the mental, and things like that with everything that you have going on? What are some of the tools or some of the ideas you could give our listeners?
Yeah. So I was thinking when you said that, how do I try to control it? Because sometimes it's, I'm not going to lie. A lot of times it's me trying to control it till I realize I can't control it.
Mhm.
I would say one of the biggest things. Well, let me say this: when what I like to do and what I do is not always the same.
Mhm.
So thank God, the biggest thing I have is a coach
Mhm.
that helps me get my thinking straight. Because when I think I can control things, because so I have a plan when I get up in the mornings. I have a plan. I have a morning routine that I do, but I'm not always perfect with it. And I used to beat myself up. So, what I have been told and what I highly suggest has been very good for me is don't be so hard on yourself, right? But not just that. I do have the coach, but I have a family of friends, I guess you could say. We have a little mindset group. Linda
Mhm.
is a part of it. So we support each other in that way. I'm in the empowered living. I have those, the people in that are a huge part. That is my support group. In all honesty, I came through AA, but I don't do AA very hardly ever anymore unless I'm helping someone because I have the support of my empowered living. So I do that, but I would say the more than anything above all of that is my relationship with God. Whatever, however your relationship or whoever your God is, that's what I tell people, because I didn't know where I was when I first got sober. My God was not the same as he is today. But the biggest thing is spending time with God, and just um, really focusing on what he wants out of me, because I put myself under a lot of stress. And I do things like gym, and right now the gym's not been as good. Yesterday I went for a massage. So I will say that there's not be okay with it not being cookie cutter. It's
Right.
not. I beat myself up a long time because I got out of practice of everything. And I'm not going to say that I'm perfect now, because some days I get up and when I haven't done my routine that I like to do, then I find myself going, "Oh my God, I'm in this funky place," and I have to stop and go, "You know what? That's where I'm at today," and do one thing. If I can do one thing, then I'm okay. And sometimes, honestly, that one thing is taking 3 minutes and just
Yep.
sitting down and reading the word, or 3 minutes and just breathing. But taking time for myself. Biggest thing is get yourself a coach and a support system.
Yep.
Those are lifesavers for me. Coach, support system, and God.
Yeah.
And
Self-care is extremely
self-care is
important, and probably the
essential.
biggest thing that most professionals don't pay attention to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They'll tell you about how to take care of yours, but they don't do it. And I was guilty. But you know what? I think one reason that I love it so much, even though I fall out of whack and I had to find myself getting back up and getting back into it again, is because when I got clean and sober, that is one of the things that helped me. So getting massages releases the same endorphins as a drug does. And
Mhm.
so if you go get a massage, then you're releasing those we call them happy endorphins, because
Mhm.
they make you feel good. So I'm a faithful believer. I typically have at least a massage every month. They help me get sober. That was a lot of what helped me. So I'm a believer in that. Self-care is huge. You
Mhm.
got to. You'll burn
It's
yourself out.
essential. Yeah, it's essential. And
Absolutely.
I kind of want to go back when you were talking about in the prisons.
Mhm.
I think it's amazing that you're going over purpose, vision, and goals with them, because
Mhm.
I think a whole lot of people would say they don't need that. They're
Mhm.
incarcerated. They don't
Mhm.
need to
Right.
have a purpose, a vision, and goals. And the fact that you are showing them that faith and that they have that path, I think that must make a huge difference for them.
It does. Well, I'll say this though. So when I first came in there, that was the first thing I brought in was purpose, vision, goals, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And
Mhm.
numerous of them was like, "How are we going to do it here?" And I will be honest that when I first started, I was like, "Well, how am I going to do it?" Right? You don't really have a lot of choice in there, right? So I did customize it a little bit for their situation.
Mhm.
And the one thing that was huge, one of the first aha moments that I'm like, I am making an impact, was when one of the guys there, who's been in and out of prison since he was 16, and he's probably 70 now almost,
Mm.
he says to me, "There is nothing we can do in here. There is nothing. We're here. We just keep going back." And I said, "You know what? You can do if you can make set goals here. You can do little things here, and you can change who you are now, and that will determine who you are when you get out of here. Or you can stay
Yeah.
out and be better, or you can keep coming back." And he disagreed with me, but we went through it. It was probably a good 3 months. And then one day he stayed after. He would laugh. Like, he was a really nice guy. He would laugh at me, and he said to me, it was about 3 months in, he says, "I have to tell you, I think differently now, because we sat down and we made short-term goals." And I
Mhm.
said, "I know it might be stupid, but it can be as simple as you getting up 15 minutes early. Yeah, you can't control the food that you eat,
Right.
but you can do something to take care of yourself, if it ain't nothing but walking this hall, when you have an opportunity or whatever." So it was really cool to be able to see them make that connection. And that guy's getting out. I saw him the other day, and he is getting out in 60 days. And we've talked, when I saw him the other day, we talked about whether he would be back or whether he would do something totally different. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it makes a difference to the point that they never repeat some of the behavior that gets them there. I'm not going to say that, because he may very well be one of those. I don't know. But what I do know is the seed has been planted.
Yes.
And just like when I got clean and sober, I was in and out of drug rehab 3 times in 1 year, and everybody said it was wasted, but it wasn't, because when I finally did get clean and sober, I remembered those things and I used
Yes.
those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, it may make a huge change and it may make a little change, but sometimes it's the little changes that get you to the big changes, right?
Yeah.
And just
What you're doing is so important. The recidivism rate is horrible, but it's because most people coming out of some sort of incarceration, whether it be a county jail, state penitentiary, are told you'll probably be back.
Oh yeah.
And in when I worked as a chaplain in the jail, the deputies would do that all the time.
All the time.
And I finally talked to the one sergeant. I said, you're encouraging these guys to come back. I am not. I said, listen to yourself, talk to them. And when somebody does come back, you shame them.
Yep.
And I said, you can't do that. You can't do that. And so, it's to have somebody go in and present that positive light, is just so I'm so glad that you're doing something like that, because this is really needed.
Yeah.
And I that's what struck me, is I can't think of very many people that would even think to offer that.
Yeah.
In that situation, because they usually don't, you don't need to plan.
Yeah.
And I think it shows the faith you have in them, that they can make some changes. And in the meantime, they can change what's going on while they're there.
Exactly.
And, they're led to believe that, obviously they can't just go when they want, but there are some things that they can control for themselves while they're in there.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, and I tell them, you control what you can. And I will agree with you. First of all, Sam, I agree exactly what you're saying. And that was one of the first things that really struck me when I started there, was that they were being told, like they would say, pick that trash up, stupid. And so one of the guys says to me, how do you think that we are going to tell ourselves that we are worth something when we have people all around us telling us we're not? So one of the things that I have done, and I do it every time I'm there, is I tell them, I don't care what anybody tells you, I'm telling you your worth. I'm telling you that you are somebody and you can do anything you want. And so I'm big when I go in there on telling them these things, because I know from my experience as an addict, even though I wasn't in there, everybody said I'd never get clean and sober. I had family members that said I was never going to get clean and sober. I was an addict, worthless, whatever. But that's not true. And so, when you talk to these people, they know they have, all of them have been through something, and there are people in there that are engineers and doctors, and they're intelligent people. Right. And so I just think it's really huge to be able to share that with them. And, like Linda was saying, the fact that they can, even though you're here, there's things you can change. So let's change the small things, because you got to, and it's like I told that guy the other day, you need to change who you are or what you got going on now, because if you don't, when you step foot out of here, that you're going out too. So you're going wherever you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, and they got there mainly because of bad choices.
Oh yeah.
Yes, there are some bad people, but there's some bad people on the outside.
Absolutely.
But they made bad choices. They got caught. Now they can begin to make good choices inside. And some people say, well, that's impossible. No, it's not. It is possible, and for somebody to be able to come in and teach them I love the vision, purpose, goals. I use that all the time, but
And I
and I
think
love
what
the
a
way you're doing
great
that.
place to do that.
Yeah, and I need to get with you and talk to you about that.
Yes.
And because there's a few people I know down on this part of the state that may be able to get me into a couple places.
Absolutely. It's the greatest reward.
Yeah, it is. So we're just about out of time. Do you have any last thoughts to our community, Empowered Living community, or to anybody else who may be listening about how to bring harmony into all that you're doing?
Well, I would simply say again, reach out, find yourself a coach and a support system.
Okay.
Make that number one with your God, spend some time with God and self-care. And I'm here. I'm always here. I'm always available. I'm always open to helping people any way I can. And if I have something I can help you with or anybody else, I'm always here to help. I love to see people help people. So yeah, and thank y'all. I really appreciate y'all having me here and sharing this.
Well, we're happy to have you here. Linda, do you have any closing questions or thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for being such a wonderful example of how to
Yes.
do this.
Mhm.
Your involvement with the Empowered Living community is so wonderful, and I feel blessed to be able to call you my friend.
Absolutely.
And
I love y'all.
I know we're going to be a turning point together, so watch out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait.
But
Yeah.
she
Thanks, y'all.
inspires me. She inspires me with all the stuff she does and how she does it. Not just what she does, but in the spirit that it's done.
Yeah,
Oh, thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you.
And so thank you for sharing your light with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate y'all.
All right. See y'all next
We'll
week.
see y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.